Hello and welcome to SkoufCodes. I'm Skoof. Thanks for joining me on this, well, it's a Saturday morning for me. I'm not sure what time it is for you, possibly a Friday evening. Thanks for joining me today. Popecode in the chat, good to see you there, buddy. That's a friend of mine. Glad that he's going to be able to tune into this one. The Z-Man! Off we go. Thanks for tuning in, pal. Yeah, SkoufCodes. What are we going to do today? We are going to pick up basically Z-Man and Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate you watching this long, drawn-out ramble. Yeah, today we're going to be kicking off picking up right where we started from last week. More React and TypeScript. More writing this little, what are we calling it? Light Pet Simulator. Little React app with a little bit of a graphic component, some LEDs. Should be a lot of fun. Just in case you also have this time slot free tomorrow morning, and we'll be saying this again throughout the stream, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually going to pick up a server later today, HP ProLiant. Z-Man, am I going to shout Aaron Lunch? Yes, I will. Of course. I'm a gentleman, if nothing else. So yeah, I'm picking up a server later today, and I'm going to be streaming tomorrow morning. Well, I'm going to be streaming something related to the server. I don't know whether it's going to be me actually provisioning it, but I have really interesting plans for that. We're going to essentially treat it not quite as if it was in the cloud, but using those same sort of infrastructure as code techniques that we love when we're working in AWS or any cloud platform. So declarative infrastructure. I want this many servers with this software installed, and after they boot up, they should run this script, etc., etc. I found some really amazing projects that kind of like blew my mind as to how cool and mature they were and how awesome they were. Mostly from the CoreOS team. So the CoreOS guys, they're the guys behind. What are they? Well, they do Container Linux. They do Tectonic. They do Key, which is a container registry. They got bought by Red Hat, I think, maybe at the beginning of this year or late last year. And they have some really amazing tools, which basically, like I said, let you treat physical servers, which I'm going to have. I'm going to have a little physical server in my home. Unfortunately, I still haven't got that damn webcam, but I think I'll be either getting it later today or tomorrow. So, but hopefully today. So hopefully I'll have it for the stream tomorrow. But down to my left, I'm going to have a little server sitting there, which hopefully will be not too loud. And that's going to be running. It's going to be running things like Plex. It's going to be running a little home wiki. It's going to be running all sorts of things. Basically just an experiment for me to test out Kubernetes and play around with lots of nice Docker containers and containerization and orchestration tools at home. And I think it's going to be really fun. And I think, yeah, it kind of amazed me that I was thinking, oh yeah, I'll just install some Linux distro on it, and it'll be kind of fun. And that won't be very interesting, but it's the tooling behind it, and I'm learning about things that I watched a video. I just happened upon a video that's kind of talking about some of these. There's something called Matchbox. There's something called Ignition. Ignition is sort of a way of bootstrapping servers and installing a Linux environment on them. Oh, I haven't switched over to my main view. That was dumb. There we go. So yeah, it's a way of bootstrapping Linux servers, Ignition, and Matchbox is a way of selectively giving different servers with different MAC addresses different configurations. But I'm learning about a whole bunch of new technology, PXE, which is like a way of network booting. So effectively, this is built for a data center where you just have machines and you don't even have any way of really accessing them until they've booted into an environment. They just boot up. They make a DHCP request and get an IP address, and with that, they also get a little like a little minimal Linux RAMFS to boot up into, and just start going from there. And it's amazing. So effectively, this server is going to be complete infrastructure as code. If it ever blows up, if the hard drives ever explode, if I ever get a second one, if I get just a new one to replace it, in theory, it should just be take it home, plug it into the network, and go through the exact same steps, and it'll all just come up exactly the same as whatever I had before. Obviously, minus any sort of like, user layer data for what containers are running, etc. But that can all be backed up. The actual OS and the like software on the OS should be already there. So yeah, some exciting new technology for me that I'm really looking forward to playing around, and that's what's going to be on the stream at the same time tomorrow morning. Assuming everything goes well today, I don't get murdered by this guy that I've met on Gumtree, and he doesn't kill me. He in fact does have a server that's not in his dungeon, and he gives it to me for the price that we agreed on. So, barring any unforeseen circumstances, that'll be the stream tomorrow. So, with that out of the way, and without any further ado, let's get on with the code. I'm going to do a little git log to figure out what the hell I was doing last time, because that was a week ago. Damn. A little under a week ago, I guess, because it was in the evening. But what did we do? We added a select box. Right, so what we were working on last week. Oh, I should also say, how many people are watching? I think it's just you guys. You guys know what's going on. But if anybody's watching this later on, blog.skoof.com. I'll chuck it in the chat. Blog.skoof.com. There's sort of context there on what this project is and how it works. There's a few blog posts. Look for the name LightPet. But so what this is it's a little simulator written in React and TypeScript that kind of simulates. It will be used to simulate a piece of hardware. So a piece of hardware with a bunch of LEDs on it, and there's data coming out of that hardware, temperature data, humidity data, basically environmental data, and we're graphing that, and we're going to want to visualize that. So what we did last week was we took what was just a bunch of sort of amorphous LEDs that were being randomly scattered in a little viewport. Popecode, you have no idea. All right, what I would say is go to the blog post, or go onto the blog. Yeah, okay. So I'll give a bit of a recap. So actually, why don't I just, instead of this git thing, why don't I just crank it up? npm run start. Okay, so this is going to load into, this is going to compile my TypeScript and then start up a React server. And we should get it to, there we go. Nice emojis, Z-Man. The light pad. Cool, so this is what we're kind of playing with. Right, we've got some LEDs up here. We're drawing those using a library called Convo, which is a wrapper around HTML5 canvas. And we also have these graphs down here. These are just randomly generated bits of data at the moment. They will be eventually, they're going to be environmental data, temperature data that's coming either off the device or off some sort of, probably out of a DB somewhere. You can see I've done it's just super basic at the moment. We've got some controls over here so we can update the number of LEDs. You can see they're just laid out randomly, but if we select this layout, so we have to switch circle layout, grid layout, right? It lays them out in circles. So that's what we did last time. We created this little update number of LEDs thingamabob. Let's do a square number, see if it works. Right, so you can do 25, and then you can go grid. Well, it doesn't work if you don't change the layout, but grid layout. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's right, because we hard-coded the number. Right. So what we did last time was we set up this little thing, and this definitely works, and you can go to 100, and it'll create a dense little, yeah, crazy. 9, for example, right? And then the circle layout works with the number of LEDs you give it, I think. Maybe it doesn't. But no, it doesn't. It's just a static number. So we ran out of time last time. It was getting pretty late. So we just hard-coded into this layout algorithm the number of LEDs, but that's what we're going to fix today. To make it obey the number that's in here, I'm also going to have to fix. Actually, let me put this in a little to-do. Because why not? New scratch file. To do today. we're going to fix layout methods so that they render the correct number of LEDs. Fix layout drop down so that it works without having to switch. No idea how I'm going to do that, but I guess we'll find out. And then I'm sort of torn. Do I work on the? I might work on the graphy bit a bit more. I don't think I'm quite ready. So okay, let's. In fact, before we go back to the to-dos, let's go back to this one. And so the other thing you can see down here. Patty Schiller, thank you for joining. Appreciate you watching, bud. Miguel Parser has followed. Well, gentlemen. Thank you very much, Miguel. Appreciate that. Jump into the chat, buddy. Missing you, that's for sure. The other thing you can see down here is we've got a graph. And this, again, this is just random data, but eventually it's going to be sort of multiple bits of environmental data. Miguel Parser, thank you for joining. Appreciate the follow. Appreciate your time. What you can do here is you can actually kind of scrub through this data. I'm not going to dox you, Miguel, don't worry. Also, I just realized that I'm expecting a delivery at some point. Hopefully they haven't been knocking at my door incessantly and I just haven't heard them. What time are they supposed to come? Excuse me, right, I'll just check these. I'm getting a new stove, so it's actually reasonably important. Where is it? 8:30 and 10 AM. Okay, well it definitely could have already been delivered and they knocked on the door. Let's hope they stream of lies. Yeah, let's hope that they knock on the door very loudly, and you'll have to excuse me for that. But yeah, hang on, just give me one sec. Not Uber Eats, my stove delivery. Do you know what? Just give me one sec. I'm going to go and put a sign on the door that says, please knock very loud. Good joke, Patty Schiller. Don't make me ban you for the puns. Alright, we're back. Sorry, guys. I placed a napkin with the words "Please lock" loudly written on it, sticky taped to my front door. So hopefully that suffices and I don't miss this fridge delivery. Even if I do, I don't really know why they're delivering it 2 days before they're actually going to fix it. But anyway, that's a story for another time. So, you hate ads. Yeah, not an ad. I'm not that level yet. I can't run ads. Okay, so we've got this little scrubber that scrubs through, and then you'll be able to zoom in on the graph data. That's the eventual idea, right? So the other plan for today is going to be to fix those two little problems with the LEDs here, and then we're going to possibly play around with this little graph here. And just excuse me again for 1 second, I'm gonna grab my glass. Alright, sorry again about that, guys. Cool, so let's jump into some code. Now that we've got a bit of an idea, so, well, I guess for the other people that are watching who don't know exactly what's going on here, the reason I'm building this is that these LEDs are going to eventually be fed by a neural network. So I was sort of contemplating, are we going to write that integration today? Not the actual neural network bit, but the hooks that are going to allow us to just hook into some stream of data coming out of some neural network somewhere to feed the colors of these LEDs. I don't think we're going to do that today just because I'm sort of still thinking about the design. I got to do probably a few little small proof of concepts to see how that integration is going to work. But that's the idea for this, is that this is going to be a simulator for a piece of hardware, so that instead of having to run the LEDs on the hardware, I can just run them here. And that'll let me iterate a little quicker. And the neural network is going to be fed by the data that's going to be in these graphs down here, which is the environmental data coming from the thing. Yep. Hey Rissos, good to see you. Yeah, the LiPet project, you know what's going on. So yeah, so that's what's going on in this graph down here. And it's going to go into a neural network out in the somewhere, probably on this new server that I'm buying actually. But yeah, or possibly in the cloud, and then it's going to come back and it's going to feed these LEDs. So that's why we're building these hooks and we're changing the number. This is going to disappear, obviously, because the number is probably going to be set as part of the response parameter, I would say. Like the data that's feeding these LEDs will probably contain the number of LEDs. It might well contain the layout in some format. I'm just messing around with this stuff here just to get a feel for how it works. Learn React, more good. And yeah, you know, put something on the stream, but we are building functionality that's going to get used down the line. So I think I'm going to put in here add second graph handle. So the idea with this little graph thing is that there should be another handle on this side of the graph that you can drag along. It's also exceedingly windy at my house right now, and so I just heard a loud bang, but I don't know if it was somebody knocking on the door. Hopefully they'll knock again and I'll figure that out. So yeah, we're going to put a second handle over here somewhere that hopefully we can drag, and then it's going to sort of, the viewport's going to come in from the left and the viewport's going to come in from the right. So yeah, fingers crossed we can do that again today, and then after that, add second graph handle to right hand side, and then what else can we do? And then there's probably other stuff that we can... Oh, thank you for the follow, Pope Code. Appreciate that, buddy. It is a very windy kind of day. So, yeah, and then hopefully after that... Oh, look, maybe... And then maybe I'll put... build nicer, more data-friendly abstraction around graph... I'm not sure what to call it. Around graph, let's just say that, because I think the way this is implemented at the moment is probably not very nice, and we want to, again, just make sure that it's really easy to plug it into a stream of data that's coming out of somewhere, right? I'm thinking this data is actually going to come out of a GraphQL API. Does it need to be GraphQL? My idea is that potentially we're going to do... Yeah, we may even have like a scroll bar down here, because you probably can't fit all the data. I don't know if that's confusing or not. You might want to, yeah, I got to workshop the UI. I'm thinking possibly a UI that's kind of inspired by video editing software. We usually have sort of like a scrub bar. That's definitely not what that's called, but you have a bar that sort of determines where you are in the stream of data, and then you have like a little... You have a scroll bar at the bottom, which is resizable. You can almost like change the size of the scroll bar, and that shows you how big the viewport is. We may just do that with these little handle things, but yeah, I'm sort of fiddling with the UI there. But we certainly want to be able to scrub through data, and we want to be able to sort of dive into it if we need to. So let's get going. Now I'm going to go and have a look at what I was doing last time in my Git log. Add input type checking, update button functionality, rename and move components based on type and domain. Oh yeah, that's what we did over here. Oops, that's behind the terminal. We moved our components into our sort of domain folders, and then we named them .container or .presentational based on what was his name? Somebody jumped into the chat and was being super helpful last time and taught me a bunch of cool shit. And they suggested that we named them sort of .presentational, .container instead of having them in folders based on whether they were presentation or container, and I think that's a great idea. So we did that. And then what else don't search in there. And then we also added a select box here to update the LED layout. So let's crack on with that then. So I think last time what we were doing, I think we hacked the... Where did we do it? Not in here. Yeah, we hacked it in here. Well, there's my nice to-do. That's why you write to-dos, guys, so that you can very easily figure out where your dodgy, hacky code that you wrote at almost midnight on last Saturday is, so that you can rip it out and do it properly. So we want to make the number of LEDs dynamic here instead of fixed. You can see we've just got a const number of LEDs. We want to actually feed that from the state, right? And then that way we should end up with the correct number of LEDs. Now, the other thing I'm going to try and do, I don't know if I'll do it today, and I'll tell you why. So I want to add Redux, but probably not today, right? And also only maybe because could we just use React context, right? So that's a new React feature that possibly replaces Redux. I'm not sure. I need to do a lot more reading on this. So you guys don't know, Redux is a library, framework, design, pattern, philosophy, kind of all of those things for doing state management in React apps. And it's really cool. I've used it before. It's got a really very a mental model of how to do updates of state, how to mutate state, that makes a lot of sense to me. You basically dispatch events, and then those events have handlers, and those handlers update the state, and the state is stored in one spot. Rissos, how new is context? Context is bleeding edge as far as I know. I read a blog article about it the other day. I think somebody from work linked to it. It's very new, but I think that's the beauty of TypeScript, is that I sent my TS lint the other day when I was the other day on the stream, not TS lint, sorry, my TS config to ESNext. So I think I've got it. I think that does it. I could be wrong, but in fact, we probably even have to update the version of React maybe that we have with our Create React app. I don't know how easy that is. We're going to have to eject at some point. Perhaps it should be later rather than sooner, or sooner rather than later. Not sure. I'd rather it be later rather than sooner, because I'm having a lot of fun just cracking along without having to worry about any of that stuff. But maybe we do need to do it soon so that we can get, you know, fancy new language features. Yeah, but I'm thinking, could we use React context in order to pass our context around? Anyway, I need to do a bit more reading and figure out how that works. I also learned about something called the Redux, as in Redux pattern, which is some sort of pattern for organizing your Redux store and your methods to update the store. So I need to do a bit of reading and figure out how exactly we're going to implement that. It's something I didn't even realize people were kind of building patterns on top of Redux. I guess it makes sense. But yeah, I need to sort of figure out what approach I'm going to take there. Because yeah, I don't want to be floundering too much. I think there's inevitably going to be some times on this stream where I'm kind of like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm going to have to do some research to figure it out. But I'd rather come in with a bit of an informed opinion. I think it's probably, it's a waste of my time, possibly a waste of your time, but definitely a waste of my time if I come in, start something, get midway through, and then go, nah, that was a bad idea. I'm going to have to start again. I'm going to try not to do that. Excuse me, I'll take a sip of water. I'm going to try not to do that. So I want to do a bit of research beforehand to figure out what pattern I want to use. But look, if we get there, if I get through the rest of the stuff really quickly, and sort of run out of things to do, then yeah, maybe we'll chuck in some Redux in there. What we needed to do is we needed to put that. Is there a way to pin this or something? Pin tab. There you go. That seemed to work. I don't know what that's going to do, but I just don't want to try and avoid closing it. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to, in our app.tsx, we wanted to change this number of LEDs to be dynamic. Flounder, yeah, hopefully not Z-Man. We wanted to make that dynamic. So where are we actually passing that? This.update LED arrangement. Ooh, we're going to have to partially bind. No, we just have to. Oh, yes, we are. Are we going to have to make a factory so that we can pass in the number of LEDs, which we only. Not sure. The LED array state is still. Oh no, we just need to count the LED array that's in the state. But I think we need to. No, this definitely hang on. Does this have access to the number of LEDs? Where are we storing the number of LEDs? Update number of LEDs is there. And where does that go to? Oops, no, don't do that. Still low. An interesting forum to share that, Z-Man. Thank you though. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so our update method just updates our LED array. So what we want to do is we probably want to yeah. Do we want to just we get the LED position? Oh, we can just pass. Yeah. Do we need a factory method? Where's that guy from last time? He was awesome. He helped me out of all of these tricky situations. Yeah, my natural leaning here would be to create a factory method, which basically captures the value of. Oh no, hang on. We have access to the state here. Oh, we can just pull it out of state. I think we can just go. Yeah, because it's bound. Oh no, hang on. Yes, yeah, we do. We bind it up here. This number of LEDs bind this, right? So I think in that case we can just go super easy. Number of LEDs equals this dot state dot LED array dot length. I think that'll do it. An easy change to be sure. But I'm pretty sure that's going to grab the number of LEDs out of the state and just make it work. So let's see if our React app update. Did it finish compiling? Did it decide not to update or something? So 20 and then circle layout. Yeah, that's working. Okay, well that was remarkably straightforward. Tick number 1. Cool. Happy with that. We also need to fix that circle layout. So let's put that in here as well. But that one's done. Fix layout method so they render the correct number of LEDs. Let's commit that in a second. Fix circle layout so that it doesn't overflow the viewport. That'll do. Cool. So now we've got our little grid layout working properly. What happens when we put in like 67 and then we do a circle layout or a grid layout? Yeah, it's working very nicely. Cool. I'm happy with that. Nice little win. So let's go git status, git add dot, git commit. That's not now. Actually, that'll need a refactor. Before I commit that, that'll probably need a refactor at some point because we probably don't want to. Yeah, well, maybe it makes sense in there to update the LED arrangement using that function. the other thing we need to do is that we also need to we also need to actually, instead of getting random colors here, oh no, that's the other thing we need to do. Okay, yeah, we're not completely out of the woods. Doing this is not necessarily the most useful thing in the world, because what it's going to do is later on, so at the moment you can see that we're generating, let me pull that down a little bit. We're generating these LEDs sort of at random, right? Using this conv util get random color, which is not necessarily a bad thing, it's just so I can colorize them. But in the future, they're not going to be randomly colored. They're going to be very distinctly colored. The color is going to have value, right? So I guess, should we design something that's going to preserve those colors, so that, and the test there would be that when you switch between circle and grid layout, it doesn't nuke all your colors and you just get the exact same colors but just in a different layout. And ideally, when you switch back and forth, the same colors are in the same positions. That would be nice, because that's eventually what we're going to have, although I'm not 100% sure how that is going to work. We may actually end up just recreating them every time and using a grid layout to lay them out, and they'll sort of be numbered based on, like, ostensibly what you could do is you could have this, where are we? The LED array could be, it's effectively the index there sort of would be the key that you use to change them. Z-Man, I'm sure you did. I have absolutely no doubts about that. I made banana bread at the office yesterday. Myself and the Z-Man worked together. And I told him that it would be a shame if the leftover banana bread went to waste, and he ate every morsel of it, and that doesn't surprise me at all. But, I mean, thank you for not letting it go to waste. Hope you enjoyed it, buddy. So this LED array, yeah, I guess we could sort of use the index into that LED array as effectively the key, so that we don't sort of lose the LEDs. I think, trying to think, I'm still sort of a bit fuzzy as to what the data, well, yeah, as to what the data that's going to come out of the neural network is going to be. There's a possibility that it will be like a 2D sort of square, or even a 3D sphere of some description that we're going to map LEDs into, in which case the specific LEDs don't really matter, because you're just going to basically be taking, you know, 20 or 40 or 80 points in space inside of like a colored sphere, like a 3D sort of, you know, volume filled sphere that's got different colors at each point. It's probably really hard to visualize, but hopefully you're following along, right? 3D sphere, colors at each point within the sphere and on the surface, and you're just going to map the LEDs into that, and so it doesn't really matter which LED is which. Whereas I think if the data took a different form, then we would need to track which one is which. So maybe for the moment it's just a distraction to sort of try and track them, because this arrangement function is going to change. But yeah, it may take different things at a different point. So in fact, let's just leave the random colors there for the moment. It wouldn't be too hard to just update the positions, but it's probably not worth it. So let's, yeah, all right, so let's call that good, and let's commit this. Z-Man, Scoof Bakes, you know, you're not the first person to suggest that. It's not a bad idea. Could be Scoof Cooks, but possibly too close to SkoufCodes. Scoof Food? Scoof Food. It's got a nice sort of little double F in there in the middle. Maybe. I'd be lying if I said I'm not thinking about it. I don't know how the hardware would work. I'd need to, like, rig up a camera to live stream. I mean, I guess I could use a webcam, but, like, I'd prefer to use a nicer camera. I don't know. Am I going to be as good? Wow. Am I going to be any good in that environment? Live cooking is a very different game to live coding. You're going to see all my terrible practices and things that you're probably never ever supposed to do. But yeah, look, it could be fun. It's definitely something I'm considering. Again, no idea. I don't know if that's a genre. Is that a genre on Twitch? I'm curious. I really wonder if there are other people doing live streaming cooking. It seems like a little more of a niche than live stream. Maybe not more of a niche, but like something that like live streaming and coding is pretty natural on Twitch. We're already on the web, whereas like cooking people and the internet, maybe, look, I mean, cooking and food is huge on the internet. Maybe a little less likely to mingle, but maybe. That's a good point, Rissos. Binging with Babish does do it. It's a very good point. Maybe Twitch is the wrong platform for that. Maybe I should start a YouTube channel and live stream on YouTube. But that is a very good point. Binging with Babish does do it. He's a very, very successful and smart man. Alright, get status. We already added it, so let's commit this. Update so that... Oh no. Update number of LEDs to obey state. This updates the number of LEDs to obey the size of the current LED array parameter when changing layout. Colors of LEDs are still randomized due to the fact that mapping the positions to the existing LEDs is probably not worth it due to the format of data that we will be receiving. Cool. That'll do. Cool. So on to the next one. All right, fix. Let's do the second one because I know it's going to be easy. Easiest stuff first. Fix circle layout so that it doesn't overflow the viewport. Okay, so that's a pretty straightforward one. What we have to do is we have to go into our method, our LED arranger method, and we need to grab the circle layout LED arranger, and we just need to tweak these values a little bit so that they're not putting right on the edge of the viewport. So yeah, currently this just draws them all in a circle with radius 1. So last time on the stream I said that the standard, haven't written it anywhere, but the standard, these functions return values between 0 and 1, right, in X and Y, and that makes it very easy to scale to your viewport. So all we need to do here is we basically just need to reduce the radius of this circle a little bit, and that'll do us. So instead of dividing by 2, which would give us a circle, so the circle has a radius 1, right, and then we scale it down to radius, we scale it down to radius half and then shift it across by half so that it fits in the viewport between 0 and 1. So we probably want to have a radius of like, I don't know, we probably have a radius of like 0.4 or something, or 0.45, but this is a lovely opportunity to introduce a radius constant. So let's, in fact, we could probably even, yeah, we can make it a constant in this function. Yeah, look, let's do that. Const circle radius equals 0.4. What's it complaining about? Yeah, it's all good. Cool, 0.4, and then we just have to divide by 1 over that radius, right? That should do it. 1 over circle radius. And then, right, like so. That should do it. And we have to do the same thing here because we've got the same radius in each direction. Cool, that should do it. Let's see if this rebuilt. And then when we switch to our circle radius, it should actually, yep, that's within the viewport. Nice. We can still drag these things. I might leave it that way. I think it's fun to be able to drag them. Yeah, cool. Another easy win. I've set myself up for a bunch of easy wins this time, I think. Sweet. Git add dot, git commit. And so we're going to do fix circle layout to draw within viewport. This adds a radius parameter inside the circle layout function that dictates the radius of the circle that the LEDs are drawn in. Question to the audience, is it really annoying me reading my commit messages? Would you rather just watch them, or is it more engaging to have me kind of reading them in real time and getting some maybe little weird stream of consciousness, little stuff ups in there, or I don't know, is that color? Or is it just frustrating to watch me very slowly at the speed that I type read? So it adds a radius parameter inside the circle layout function that dictates the radius of the circle the LEDs are drawn in. Read. Okay, good to hear. Thanks, SkoufCodes. We use this radius parameter to reduce the radius of the circle to 0.4 from 0.5 to, okay, good to hear, Z-Man, thank you, to allow all of the LEDs to fit within the viewport. Cool. In a Barry White voice. I don't know if I can quite do a Barry White voice, but my regular voice will have to suffice. Cool. You're not watching. Okay, well, fair enough. I don't know what to say about that. Oh, so you like to hear the soothing voice? Of course, my dulcet tones. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of that mind as well. I feel like I probably shouldn't leave too many gaps on the air. I think I like, yeah, it's the style that I like to watch, and so I guess it should be the style that I spit out. Cool. All right, so that circle layout thing, dunzos. Fix layout dropdown so it works without having to switch. Okay, cool. Thank God I know what that means, because that's not proper English. So what I'm talking about there, if you've just joined, is when you first load this page, it defaults, this dropdown defaults to the grid layout, but if you click on the grid layout, it doesn't do anything because it's not actually updating the value. I think I may have to make a... Yeah, the easy fix there, the problem will be, yes, the problem will be that if we have it in circle out and then we click update, it just scatters them. That probably shouldn't happen. That should be integrated a little better. So what we should actually do, and I think that would kind of fix this problem as well, in that there's a few problems going on here. When we click on the grid layout again, it doesn't trigger. And so there's two problems. There's one of like what happens on first load. So on first load, I'm thinking we should actually add like just a none, like an empty thing in this list, so there's no default, which makes sense based on what's going on here. And then perhaps, yeah, look, yeah, in fact, we could add the, yeah, that makes quite a lot of sense. So what I'm going to do here, I think the nicest design is that we're going to add in a random layout in here. It's still going to effectively have this bug, which is that when you click on it, oh look, hang on, I can, no, surely I can fix this. Let's fix this a proper way. So I think I'm going to do both things. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to fix all the problems, which is, you know, ultimately what you want, right? I'm going to add in a third option here, which says random layout, and that's going to be the default effectively. So when it loads, it's going to be on random layout. I'm going to hook in this update method. I've just got a text message saying running 30 minutes late with the cooktop. Okay, that's good to know. Fine. Good to know that I haven't already missed it, which was what I was worried about. So we're going to have that update method is going to have to be keyed into the generation. Well, it's going to have to also call the other method to lay out the LEDs. We might be getting a little spaghetti in there, but that's okay. We'll have to sort it out. I'm just going to reply to this text message. Sorry, give me a thing. I'm saying knock loud when you get here. All right, cool. So, yes, Ristos knows about the stovetop saga. Yes, I am finally getting my stovetop replaced on Monday. The stovetop is coming today. Apparently they want to deliver it early, and then they're coming on 8 AM on Monday, which will be delightful. to install the stovetop. So thank God. Cool. So the idea is, yeah, we're going to wire in this update method to basically respect the layout, and we're going to make sure that we have a random layout option, but we're right now just going to fix the fact that if you click on this grid layout, it doesn't actually work. So let's fix that. I'm pretty sure I know how to fix that. We've got this LED text box container. No, sorry, we don't want the text box container. We want the layout selector container. There it is. I think all we need to do is on this option here, right? We just need to do an on click, and then what are we going to bind to? Can we do like a this.parent.onChange? That would be very cool. I don't know if the handle change event. We should be able to do that. This dot parent. No. This dot. Well, look, on click we do just want to call this dot handle change. Look, let's just see what. No, it's not going to accept a change event. Well, let's consult our trusty docs. Good old Dr. Google. Click React component trigger parent event. Look, in fact that's probably bad design. What we should probably do is we should actually pass down. Yeah, no, we should bind a separate method. That's the yeah, that's what we do here. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward, right? So we need a private method down here. Private handle option click equals, and then it's going to be event click. Is it change event? Click event. What type of event is it? Actually, it'll tell us. This dot handle change needs to take mouse event. Mouse event. There we go. Mouse event of type HTML option element, and then why doesn't it like that? Mouse event is not generic. Oh, okay, no problem. Needs a semicolon. Does it? No, it doesn't. I think it's complaining because the IntelliSense above. Cool, and here we just need to do the handle change event. Handle change. It's a handle change with that event, and that event needs to be new change event HTML select element. And then what do we put in this here? What parameters do we have? Can we create new change events? Let's figure it out. Extend synthetic event. It's got to have a target, event target. How do we do that? Add event listener, dispatch event, remove event listener. We should be able to finagle this. No, we're passing a definite change event, so I don't see how we can have that T. Oh, it can be event target and T. And T is generic. Okay. Event target. Let's have a look at. No, we don't want that. So event target. Add event listener, dispatch event, remove event listener. We can create a new event target. Question is, how do we trigger that? Maybe this is the wrong way to do it. Oops, don't look at that. Not that that was anything bad, it was just stuff for tomorrow's stream, some documentation. React component trigger change in parent. Let's just do that. This is what we're looking for. On change event for each field controller, pre-candidate. No, I don't think so. Oh. Can we just pass values into the change event? Maybe. Let's see. I want to know what is in here. What options do we have there? To that constructor. Creating a new change event, and we want to do basically the mouse event's parents, but there's only one thing to click on. We don't even need to accept the mouse event, really. We're not doing anything with it. We can just do that. What's it complaining about here? On click. Oh, sorry, because we need to actually bind it to this handle options click method. Okay, cool. That's alright. We want to call handle change. And we want to call it with, yeah, that change. Oh no, we don't even need to do that. We can just call can we just overload this method? Yeah, I think we can. Does this accept method overloads? Private. I think we can. Private handle change equals let's let it take an LED arranger. Yeah. What type is this? I think on layout selected LED arranger. We can have a look at the props of the types. It takes a function that gives you on layout selected as a function that takes an LED arranger. Yes, okay. Yeah, that's the right type. Takes an LED arranger. So what we're going to do is we're going to refactor this. So this is what actually calls that, and we're going to provide a default value. I wonder if that has to be compile time static though. I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll find out how we do default values. Default values, Typescript. Oh, yeah, okay. So you can just do it like that, which is sort of what I assumed. LED arranger equals this dot. Oh no, we don't. Oh, we didn't set that as state, did we? We actually do want it to be. That's, you know what? In fact, this all kind of stems from a problem from an issue that we effectively introduced last time, which is that we didn't store this in state. Excuse me while I take a sip of water. Right. Okay. No, I think we have a. I think I have a better approach to doing this now. What we should do is we should actually store this in state. Yes, that will allow us to have a default. Yes. Okay. Let's undo whatever the hell I've done here. That's better. Right. So what we want here is we want this to change when we click on the right element. We don't need that anymore, I don't think. I think all we need here is we need to actually store. So what are we passing here? Do we want to store the sort of key into this const object, into this layouts sort of reference object, or do we want to just store? I think we just want to store the key. We could store the function. We could just store the function. No, let's just store the key. So the state is now going to store a current or layout parameter, which is going to be a string. And then how are we going to actually update? We're going to want to do a set state here. So this dot set state, and we're going to set that to event.target.value, right? So it's set state. It's a function call. Let's wrap it in some braces, in some brackets. We're going to set the layout to. Let's pull it out here. Const selected layout equals event.target.value, and then that can be selected layout. So can that. Cool. Right. So now we're propagating that through to our state. So that's good. Right, and that's right. And what I tried to do last time, which was obviously folly, was that I tried to actually use this selected layout. I tried to sort of do down here. I tried to set the state before here, before the LED arranger pulled out the arrangement function, and then somebody pointed out that because the set state happens asynchronously, that actually wouldn't work. So we're fine here though. We're setting the layout asynchronously. We're not using it here. That's cool. But then what we want to do is we want to say that on click of this, yes, that's going to receive a change event, but still when we click, we want to actually perform that layout change. I think we do. Yeah, and we can call this .props on layout selected with our layout arranger, which we can pull out again. Right, so we can just single source this now, so that should be fine, right? So here we're going to do on click, and we're going to write a function to do that. So private handle click equals, and then we're taking an event of type mouse event, which is not generic. Don't need that. And what we're going to do here is we're going to const current layout equals this dot state dot layout, and then we're just going to call, again, we're basically going to do this a little bit of code duplication here. We might want to write a get layout function, but that should be okay. And then we're going to call this dot props dot on layout selected and pass our LED arranger. Cool, and that should update it on the click. And then all we have to do up here is we have to bind, where's that constructor? Oh, sorry, we don't have to bind anything because it's an arrow function, it's automatically bound. Sweet. Do we need something at the end of there? No, we need something here. On click, handle click. Nope, this dot handle click. That's what we need. Cool. Doesn't like that. Yeah, because bloody mouse event is a generic. I don't know why it wasn't telling me before. Of course it's generic. It has the wrong idea of the mouse event. We don't even need the mouse event. Yeah, we're not using it. Sweet. That works. Okay. I think, in theory now, what is it complaining about there? It needs one of those. Yeah, it does. Right, because it's not the last... No, I'll be honest, I don't know why it wants one there. I think it's misbehaving. Cool, I think that should do it. So let's see if this recompiles. I think now this should, yeah, it's just re-rendered. Click, nothing. Why doesn't that work? It works if we do that, but what if I... Nope, doesn't like that. Okay, that's alright, let's figure out why that is. So, handle click. Is it because we're not setting a default state? No, because it doesn't work even after the state is set. Let's inspect, oh yeah, let's debug and just inspect the state. So thank God for the React debugger, because it's going to be super useful. Scroll down here, where's React? Cool. So we want to see the state of our layout selector. Layout grid, layout circle, layout grid, layout grid, layout grid. Oh, it's because the, oh, so do we do like a force state update? I think we might have to. Yeah. Is there a force parameter here? We need the React set state. I think there is like a force. The reason why I stopped using React.setState, alright, whatever that is. No idea. Cool. Set state. Is there a force method? Where's the doco for you know what? In fact, we can just IntelliSense it. The beauty of looking up doco. Callback state, previous state. Whoa, what the hell is that? Oh, force update. Yeah, we can just call force update. Is that a good idea? This comment. The or S allows IntelliSense to not be dummy sense. That's a good one. The goal that you find in little Typescript type files. Good times. That's funny. I wonder what that does. Or S. Because it can be the state. Oh, is that so that you can just... Oh, it's the type of state. So that you can just pass... Dunno. Interesting. I wonder why that is. That's a funny comment though. Alright, our set state is not updating. Hang on, let's just refresh this and inspect what happens. Refresh. Bring up our inspector. React. Still no, we're looking at this. Is that because I'm not setting a state to begin with? I think it is. Yes, it is. T. Schultz, thank you for joining. Appreciate it, buddy. Cat Pizza, thanks for the follow. Thank you very much. Appreciate the hell out of anybody who's watching at 10 AM on a Saturday morning, at least for our time. Okay, so we have to figure out, alright, first of all, we want to set a default state. I'm sure there's a way of doing that. It's probably in a constructor. This isn't, oh no, this is a proper component. Cool, so we can make a constructor here. Constructor, and takes super, and it doesn't like that. Why doesn't it like that? This is where we crack out the existing components and I look at what I'm doing wrong. And that doesn't have a constructor, and that does. Oh, of course, yes. Constructor takes props, not super. Props, and it looks like what? Yeah, it just looks like a regular function. Sweet, and so we're going to call super on our props. And then we're going to set the state. And how do we do that? Yeah, we just call this.state. This.state equals, and we're going to default to the grid layout. Grid layout equals grid. Done. Okay, let's see if that fixes our little issue. I think what will happen is that, where are we? No, we want, what are we doing? App, layout selector. Right, so it's set to grid now. It hasn't actually worked. I think, this isn't going to work either. That's frustrating. Do we need to force update? I feel like we shouldn't force update. Sounds like something that you don't want to do, but maybe it's required. Nah, that seems like a really bad idea. Let's not force the update. Let's first of all start with a... Okay, why isn't this working? It's because we don't actually update the state at all. No, we just read from the state and we call on layout selected. And that's our function that should be doing our LED arrangement. Right, that's back up in here, up in our app, and it should be calling update LED arrangement. Is it because nothing gets triggered because there's no state update? Force update. Seems like a bad idea. We probably need to do this dot, this dot. Well, let's see if that fixes it. I mean, I think this is I think this is just awful for performance, because then every time it gets clicked, which is going to be probably a lot, it's going to always force an update. No, well, that doesn't work anyway, so probably rip that out of there. I wonder. Look, perhaps we can leave that for a second, and I can circle back to it later. It's not super crucial. What did I say I was going to do back here? Should have written it down. I was going to have a random layout as well. Let's just rewrite. Oh yeah, because I removed that. We're going to have a random layout, and that's right, we're going to have this update actually obey our layout. You know what, that might actually be the key. That might actually just do it. If we just read the... Yeah, if we just read the... We could even... Anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We want this method to obey. We want generate LED array to obey our current... Okay, so when we... If we want that to be the case, we have to still... I don't want to write spaghetti in here. We kind of need just one source of creating LED arrays. We need to probably... Do we need to even store this LED arranger as state? Yeah, I think we do. I could be wrong about that, but I think we actually need to store is our state... Why not spaghetti? Yeah, because spaghetti's bad. You know that, Pope. I do. Hey, that's not true, mate. You know that's not true. You've seen my code. Okay. I think what we could do here is we could extend our state object to actually have just the basic number of LEDs and our LED arranger function. And then I think instead of calling like update LED arrangement or anything, we'll change our generate LED array to take the number of LEDs and the arranger. Yeah, I'm thinking that's a lot better of an idea. And then, do we even just pass down... No, we can still update the state. Okay, so this is where... Okay, no, actually, you know what? This is where we need Redux. So I'm kind of like, should I put Redux in there right now? Because we kind of sort of need it right now? Or do I wait until another time? And how much of a flounder is it going to be for me to implement, or not implement, but add in Redux right now? I'm pretty tempted. Yeah, well, fuck it. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. YOLO. Cool. I'm going to have to remember how to bloody get Redux added in, unless it's already in. Let's look at our... So... React Typescript starter. So this is what I use to actually generate this sort of scaffold that I'm working within. Let's see if this actually pulls in Redux as a dependency. It probably... Well, it might. I guess you never know. I guess you never know. Adding state management. Yeah, it's in there for sure. State management in general. Redux does not provide. Yeah, React, Redux, and MobX. Right. So that's what PopeCode was talking about. MobX, functional reactive pattern, observables, passed through as props. I kind of want to learn more about Redux, though. So I don't want to switch to MobX, but I do want to play around with that. The fact that it's written in TypeScript already is pretty fun. But yeah, it definitely looks like. Oh no, hang on. We do have to install Redux and Redux types and React Redux. Okay, cool. That's fine. So let's do a little npm install job over here. Let's just, in fact, we might even clean our current, the stove Pope code. Yeah, the stove guy said he's probably going to be in here in like 10 minutes. That's what he said, running 30 minutes late. So hopefully he will be here then. And I'll have to pause the stream very briefly, but hopefully that's fine. Hopefully when that happens, I remember to mute my mic. Alright, cool. What do we actually have in our state right now? Oops, no, we want to do a git diff. We added a constructor with a default layout. Yeah, okay, I don't really like that. No, you know what? That's probably not the end of the world to set it based on. Oh, that's redundant. It's redundant. All right. Do I commit this for posterity? No, I can rewrite this in about 5 seconds. Git. What's the command again? Yeah, check out -- star. Cool. Oops. -- star. It really doesn't like that. That's okay. Source, components, layout selector. Yeah. Cool, nice and clean. Oh, let's push while we're here, because why not? Just in case my computer explodes. Alright, let's do that npm install. So we're going to npm install, or actually we're going to yarn install, or actually it's yarn add Redux, React Redux, and types React Redux. So Redux, React Redux, and @type/React Redux. Sweet. Cool. Hopefully that's pretty quick on my very speedy internet. Well, fetching half the internet as usual. That 1178 better be packages already installed, not additional packages. Yeah, look, it looks to be going fine. Cool. So what do we have to do after that? Thank God for this little TypeScript React starter. It's really fun. Okay. Yes, and because we're doing TypeScript, we have to define the shape of the store. That makes sense. And then we have to add actions based on constants. And create a set of actions. Yeah, actions that actually mutate our state. And then we add a reducer. Yeah, so if you haven't played with Redux before, the design is pretty cool. You have a container. That container can accept actions, and it has state. And every action, basically actions go through a function called a reducer, and that reducer switches on the action.type you can see here, and it returns the full state updated based on the particular function that was called, right? So, for example, here they've got this example they're using like enthusiasm level and some other parameter, right? And you've got these increment enthusiasm, decrement enthusiasm actions, and so you can call, you know, store.increment. Well, not really, but you can store.dispatch, I think is the method. I think that's how we do it. It'll be down here somewhere. Yeah, dispatch actions.increment enthusiasm or decrement enthusiasm, right? And then they loop back here. We switch on the action.type and we go case decrement enthusiasm, return the current state mutated. And it's really simple. And that's a really lovely way of doing state management. they're pure functions, which it points out up here, which means they have no side effects. So it's effectively, if you, the nice property of this of Redux is that if you call, if you get a list of all of the state mutations from the beginning of time, and you have the initial state, you can effectively reconstruct the state at any point, right? Which makes it really, it's a nice mental model to understand how things work. It's easy to step through. I'm pretty sure it's probably easy to debug. One of the other things I need to do here is I guess I need to write some unit tests. And I have very little experience writing unit tests with React, but I guess that's what part of what this channel is all about, me learning things. So I'd love to do that at some point. I'm going to have a bit of a read in my own time to figure out how that works, just to make sure I'm not sort of messing about too much. But yeah, that should be good. Okay, so what else do we need to do? Right, we're going to add in Redux. So look, honestly, let's just follow some of these actions here. So to go back to here, the reason this immediately screamed to me like add in Redux is because what's happening here, or what I was sort of about to do, was we've got two sources of data. We've got the number of LEDs, and then we've got the layout of the LEDs. And what we want is, so one way of doing that could be that every time we do either of those actions, we effectively sort of update some state and then call this function to update the LED array. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but that is basically what Redux is built for, right? Because what we can do now is we're going to have an action which is going to be like update LED count, right? And then in our reducer here, we can go, okay, take the existing state. Well, we can update the LED count, we can then call a function to recalculate the LED array, and then we can update the existing state all at once. And like, we could have done that basically manually, but we might as well do that automatically here. And the benefit is that we're going to get that nice state management, and we're not going to be duplicating any code anywhere, and we're not going to be ending up with spaghetti and things that call themselves, or sort of many functions that call the same function is probably like a code smell. There's sort of lots of branch in. There should be a better pattern for that, and this is the pattern. And so we're going to be able to do a similar thing for update LED arrangement, where we're going to have, I think I'm going to have that as a function in the state. And so again, you update that function, and then we can update this. And I think if I get things right, that may actually solve our other problem, which is the issue of the fact that the layout doesn't update by default, and setting default values doesn't work, and setting on-click handlers doesn't really work either. Hopefully, we'll be able to update all of that, and it'll work really nicely. What am I looking for up here? That's what I'm looking for. Cool. So, let's crack on with this. So the first thing it says here, and it's so awesome that this documentation is here, because I've never done this before. Cool. Alright, I want to make a types folder. Do we already have a types folder? I don't think we do. Cool, well that's nice to have. So let's add a types folder. Again, this may get refactored later down the line if I sort of read a very strongly worded article that says, hey, that's not how you're supposed to do things. But for the moment, this will do. So we're going to call it index.tsx, TypeScript file, x. Cool. Did it go in where I wanted it to? By God, it did. And we actually want to make that not .tsx.ts, just tsx. Cool. So, why does it need to be tsx? I think WebStorm's probably going to complain about that. That's okay. Okay, so this is just the shape of the store, right? So we want to define our top level store is probably going to be this one. Yeah, how do we work in nesting here? I can't remember how to do that. There is a way. I'm going to have to read up on the TypeScript on the Redux doco, because I'm going to have to remember how we. There is a way of kind of like having sort of. Oh no, you only. Oh no, that's right. You always only have one store. You can have many reducers that handle little bits of the store. And then there's methods in Redux that I'll look up later on. This is digging up all this Redux memory from like probably a good 2 years ago. But But yeah, so maybe not. Maybe it was just the beginning of last year. I can't remember when it was. I was taking a unit at uni, which was supposedly advanced programming, and I ended up learning a lot of what I know about React and Redux there, because I sort of forced myself to use it. It was a nice practical project, and I used Redux and had a lot of fun, and that's when Redux really kind of, React, well, Redux as well, but largely React really kind of clicked for me. Before that, I kind of didn't really understand it that well. So yeah, this was that thing. So I'm trying to drag my memory back to last year when I figured out how this worked. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we just define a top level state in here, store state. So export interface store state, and what are we going to have? Well, we're definitely going to have data start, data end, and our LED array, but we're going to have other things too. So we're going to have data start, which is going to be a number, still lowercase number. Data end, which is also going to be a number. Looks increasingly like we're not going to get around to any graphy things today, but that's okay. We're going to have LED array, which is of type array LED data. Array LED data. And let's IntelliSense import that. Cool. But we're also going to have what did we call it? LED arranger. It's 14 degrees outside. How chilly. Hopefully, if there's anybody else watching who's not living in Melbourne, it's much warmer where you are. 14 degrees and exceedingly windy. Right, the other thing we wanted to have was we wanted to have number of LEDs, and we wanted to have our I think I actually want to store this LED arranger function in our state. I think that makes sense. So we want to have LED arranger, which is of type LED arranger, and we also want to have, and it doesn't like no spaces around that. Let's put that on the to do. In fact, I should have a persistent to do. Let's chop this out, and let's put that into a to-do.md. New file, todo.md, lowercase md. Oh no, did I just lose my... yeah. That's what happens when you get a little too fancy with Vim key shortcuts. Let's add a nice big to-do at the top. Cool. And how do we do checkboxes on here? Does anybody know? Is it like that? Definitely not. Anyway, whatever. Stars will do. Cool. Let's do a to-do.md, and let's just commit that. So what have I got? Having to switch between layouts, add second graph handle, build nicer, more data-friendly abstraction around graph. X, I think. Thank you, Rissos. Oops. Nope. Just creates a link with an X in it. Anyway, that's fine. We'll sort it out another time if somebody wants to look up there. It could also be this markdown renderer over here that's misbehaving. I can't be sure. Add Redux. Well, we're kind of doing that, but let's do add Redux, possibly refactor to use React context. And yeah, that doesn't seem to be working. I think that might actually be GitHub flavored Markdown, as opposed to whatever flavor of Markdown we're implementing here in this little preview that you can probably just see on the right hand side. But anyway, not super important. Just listening out for knocks again. Something was making a very repetitive clacking sound that I thought might be the door, but it is not just yet. I think they'll be here soon though. Guess it could be him bringing stuff off his truck or van. Actually, let me just make sure that might well be the case. Let me just, I'll just be back in 1 second, guys. Stand by. In fact, it was not. It was, I think it's just my antenna rattling. Anyway, whatever. Do we have any other dot points that I need to add in? What else do I need to fix? Oh, that's what I was going to do. That's why I did this in the first place. Fix tslint slash WebStorm linting settings so that they match. Because the impetus for this was the fact that it doesn't, when it auto pulls in this dependency, it doesn't put spaces around it, and so then something, it's either tslint or it's WebStorm's linting complaint. So I just got to make sure that they're in sync. Let's just add in that to do right now. To do. Cool. Probably shouldn't be in our source directory. mv source slash to do. Just /. Yeah. Cool. To-do list. That'll do. Oh, did I just commit too much? Did I add two to-dos somehow? Huh? Did I duplicate that file? No? Maybe? No, it's okay, whatever. Cool, so now we've got this, and the last thing we need is we need our number of LEDs. Alright, cool, so that's the shape of our store. Do I need separate types and separate interfaces folders? I don't think so. I think I might actually, we'll do it later. Let's add it to to-do. This is what to-do is for. Refactor to move interfaces folder contents to types. So apparently that's the pattern. It appears that you put it all in the types folder. Should I add it to? Oh, fuck, I'm not going to add another commit just for that small. Oh no, I guess I could amend it. Git add to git commit amend. Cool. Right. So now we've got our store defined. The next thing we need to do is we need to add some actions. Well, I guess actually, should we in fact be defining more? Let's leave the state there. Let's do it bits at a time. We don't need to update the whole thing. Okay, so now we need to add some actions. So this is still in this type definition. I don't know if I like just chucking everything in the same file. I think I'm going to refactor that and call it redux.tsx. Yeah, I think that's better. Oh no, hang on, they're putting in a different folder. Source constants. Okay, no. Let's leave that as index. Oops. Let's leave that as index.tsx for the moment. All right, nice. So we're gonna add a constants folder, and we're gonna put an index.tsx in there as well. Index. Then let's do the refactor to tsx ourselves. TSX, cool. And what we want now is we want to add, okay, so it's interesting the way we do this here. So we export a const, which is our string increment enthusiasm, and we also export a type, which is type of that. I guess that makes sense. Const type pattern allows us to use Typescript string literal types in an easily accessible and refactorable way. Okay, yeah, look, I get that. I guess that makes sense. So, what actions are we going to have? Well, I think the actions we're going to have are going to be, the convention is all uppercase. So, export const update number of LEDs. How am I saving your life, mate? Please explain. Please explain. A little Pauline Hanson joke in there. No worries. These can take parameters, can't they? Yeah, how do these bloody actions work again? I'm pretty sure they can take parameters. Redux actions. Actions in Redux. Cool. I'm pretty sure they can. They must be able to, otherwise it's not very useful. It's just what's the syntax? I'm just trying to wrap my head around this mental model again, because I've done it once in the past, and I've clearly forgotten how it all works. Cool. Oh, that's taking an inordinate amount of time to load. Splendid. Is there Redux.js page down or something? No, it's there. It's just taking its time. Taking its sweet time. Oh, that's right. That's right. Of course, of course. Sorry. So what I forgot to mention, what I completely, well, not even forgot to mention, what I just completely forgot was that, yeah, these actions have a type and they also have values that you can, they're just JSON objects, right? So that's, okay, cool. So that's totally fine. Oh, Salesforce C, thank you for following. Appreciate that very much. And thanks for joining. Back here, yeah, we're just defining our action names. We're going to define the type of data that they can handle later down the track. Cool. So we've got update number of LEDs equals. So the convention here is you just put in a string. Update number of LEDs. Cool. And then we're going to export type. And then do we call it the same thing? Yeah. Update number of LEDs equals type of that. And then we do the same thing. We're going to go export const update LED layout equals update LED layout. And then export type update LED layout equals, again, type of update, not that one. Cool. Right, so there's our types and our actions, which we now have constant strings for, as well as types. And the next thing we need to do is we need to create our actions. Right, yeah, here's where we export the interfaces for the types of our actions. Right, so here they're just taking a type because you don't need anything more, but we can add extra data in there, and we will be. Cool, so now we're creating an actions folder. Actions. I'm sort of wondering, is it the best to really have this many different random folders? Should these all be under a like Redux folder? Maybe, but that's okay for the moment. So we're going to need Typescript file actions, and we're going to turn it into a .tsx. Again, it probably doesn't need to be, but you know, let's follow old Microsoft's instructions. Okay, cool. So we're going to do an import star as constants from constants, yeah, cool. And then what we're going to do, okay, so we're going to export interfaces for each of our types, or export interfaces for our objects, which are going to be, yes, right, so the convention is uppercase increment enthusiasm is our object type, and then lowercase increment enthusiasm is the actual function that you call to get back. Oh, and of course you can pass a parameter there, and then we can put that in this little thing that returns the action, and then we can process that later down the line. Perfecto. So where are our constants? That's what we want. So based on that, we're going to go export interface update number LEDs, and then that's just going to be an object, which will take, is it equals? No. Interfaces don't have equals, that makes sense. And that's going to have a type of update number of LEDs, right? Which class to import? You shouldn't need to import shit because I've imported star as constants dot. Yeah, that would help. Constants dot. Nice. And then we're also going to have a new value, which is a number. Sweet. We probably don't need that. And then we're going to also have an export interface update, what do we call it? Update LED layout. And that's going to have a type of constants dot update LED layout, and then a new value of type LED arranger. And again, it's failed to put the right spacing around that. Really need to fix that. Maybe I should move that up the list of to-dos. Cool. Yeah, that seems good. Should this be a question mark? I think it should be nullable. Yeah. Do you want to even? We could even make that. No, everything should be stateful. Yeah, I'm thinking, what I was thinking just then was, could we make this nullable, right? So, can we even do that? JS document, inside documentation. Well, no, that's not what I was trying to do, but anyway. No, we put it here. Nullable. Yeah, so then this can optionally be null, and then what we could do is when it's null, we could say, okay, we'll just update the LED array. But that's a bad way of doing things. That's weird sort of coupling. We should just make it always obey this value, and I think we'll be fine. Right now we've got those functions written. We want to export types. Okay. Export type LED update LED action. Update number of LEDs, pipe update LED layout. Cool. Right, now we've got a type for those, so we can, what that'll allow us to do is it'll allow us to create variables of type update LED action and decide perhaps at runtime what is actually going to happen, like which action that concretely is going to result to. And then we're going to export some functions. Export function. These are functions that are actually going to be called update number. So these are the functions that clients will actually call to update these values. So we're just going to return. Actually, this will need to take something. So this is going to take a number, which is going to be new number of LEDs, number, and it's going to return type constants dot, and actually we should type that return, shouldn't we? Yes, we definitely should. Yeah, constants dot update number of LEDs, and the value, new value, is going to be new number of LEDs, and we're going to type it so that we don't stuff anything up. Update number of LEDs. Sweet, and all the types match, and we're all happy. Export function, so we're just going to do another one, update LED layout, and that's going to take a new arranger of type LED arranger, and it's going to return an update LED layout type, and then return here type constants dot update LED layout, new value. Yeah, what's the convention there? That probably new value is probably not the best name for those things, but maybe we'll leave it for the moment. I guess within the context it makes sense, but does it make sense globally? Does it need to make sense globally? I'm not sure. Anyway, that's right. I think that'll probably do for the moment. Cool, so we've got those functions now. And Redux actions, boilerplate. Yeah, well, anyway, let's look into the future. And then we got to add a reducer. Okay, so we're going to add another folder for reducers. Oh, that was a bad bit of typing. Reducers. Cool. And then we need in there, what do we need? We're going to need this stuff. So we're going to need index.tsx. Let's just do a new file. Index.tsx. That'll help. Yeah, then we don't have to do a refactor, rename every bloody time. Cool. So we got to import enthusiasm action from actions, import store state from types, and those from constants. Oh, yeah, no, it's okay. Right, and then this is our function that does the reduction. So it takes the current state and it takes an action and it returns a store state and it switches based on the action type and then updates things. Right, gotcha. So what we need to do here is we're going to have to, let's just start writing and we'll let IntelliSense import things for us. Export a function, export function, what do we call it? Update LED. Yeah, is that good? I don't know if that's a good one, but anyway, let's leave it there. State, what did we call it? Store state. Store state, import. Stuffed up the import again, that's right. Can we just IntelliSense fix? Yeah, we can. But it fixes them separately. That fix current file, that's what we need, that's good. Store state, and then the action is going to be a LED update action. That's what we called it, right? Maybe it wasn't. Update action. Update LED action. Update. Cool. Fix current file. Sweet. And it's going to return store state, and then our function body is going to be I should have had coffee before. I feel slightly slower without the coffee. Also, now approaching almost 11. Dude, for the stove is in here. I hate this. I'd love to say that that was a surprise, but unfortunately it is not. You know the saga that I've gone through to get this place stove repaired. Anyway, enough of that. Store state. We're going to switch on the action type. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. So, why is it? Oh, because it doesn't actually return it. Switch action.type. And then, and we should put a space there. Right, so in the case, yes, it's the stove that's getting repaired, Benji, not the fridge. Did I say fridge at some point? It's definitely the stove. Definitely the stove. Have I shared the stove tale? I don't think I have. I did say, I think, in the, no, yeah, I'm wary of talking too loudly about the stove state because I'm going to be, like, yelling about the stove state and the problems with it, right? And then the dude is going to knock on the door, so I won't go into it. Salesforce see, yes, this is the stove that I was going to repair myself. I briefly considered it, and then I was like, actually, I have no idea how to open it. Do you know what I'll do? let's just wait. Hopefully he comes within the next hour, which, you know, would that really be too much to ask, given that he said he would be here between 8:30 and 10, and it's now 11 a.m. almost, my time. But maybe wait till after he comes, and then I can tell a stove tale. So remind me, when I take a break to go and actually let the dude in and let him dump the stovetop somewhere in my very small apartment, which I'm also not impressed about. Not the smallness, the fact that he's going to be dumping some random stove. Why can't they just bring it at 8 a.m. on Monday like fucking normal humans? Anyway, besides the point. When I go and take a quick break just to see that guy in, when I get back, if it's after 12, the dude's fucked because I'm going out. I got shit to do. I got time to fucking wait for this guy like 2 hours after he's supposed to be here. Anyway, yeah, remind me afterwards and I'll tell the stove tale. It's not that interesting, like, you know. In fact, I think I've probably complained to all of you guys about it. But yeah, anyway, the stove tale. So let's get on with this. So case, okay, so we want to do a, so in the case that it's update number of LEDs, update number of LEDs, right? Which we want to import, I think. Oh, okay, no. What we should do is we should do the same thing as before. Import star as constants from /constants. Yeah, that'll do it. And then we can do case constants dot update number of LEDs. Why doesn't it like that? Unused expression. Oh, it's because we actually have to return here, don't we? Yes. Oh, right. The syntax is wrong. It's just like that. Yep. Oh, and it takes a brace. Good. Much easier to read. What doesn't it like about that? Should include a default switch case. Is it colon that? Oh, it doesn't actually take a brace. I don't know what I was looking at. Right. Cool. Off and running. Cool. So, and then we just want to return. Right. Oh, now hang on. Have I completely shot myself in the foot here because these are supposed to be side effect free? Side effect free. Yes, side effect free. So we can still call functions to update sort of derived parts of the state. That's still fine. Right, cool. No, that's okay. So what we want to do here is we want to actually call... Oh, do we have to have as part of our state a... Yeah, I think we do. I think we might have to update our state type. Because we've got our arranger, we've got our number of LEDs. I think as part of our... does it need to sort of be inject? Do we need to be able to inject a function that updates the state? I think this state has to have a reference to the function that actually performs the update. Let me think. I think we need to have a function here that's called LED update method or something. Or do we just reference that statically as part of this reducer? Maybe we do. Maybe we just go... Yeah, maybe what we do here is we just go... Because what const new LED array equals... and then some update function, so LED update function, and we're going to pass in, so this is for update number of LEDs, we're going to pass in state dot number of LEDs, and we're also going to pass in action dot new value, yeah, And so that'll get us a new array of LEDs, right? This function should return type of LED, or should return array of LEDs. And then in here, what we can actually return now is we can go dot 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 state, so spread the rest of the state, and then new, and then LED array, oops, is the new LED array, and then the number of LEDs is the new value, right? And then we can do another case for and then we need a break. Do we? No, it's returning. We don't need a break. Constants dot update LED layout, which is basically the same thing. Const new LED. So this, except instead of doing it that way, now it's state dot. Now it's action dot new value, and then it's state dot LED arranger. And then this, except instead of number of LEDs, we're just going to update the LED arranger. Yeah? Yeah. No. Yeah. I've done it completely wrong around. That's going to be state.new value. And that, oh sorry, state dot let's look. Yeah, this is stupid. Let's actually define our interface first. We'll refactor it in a second. Export interface LED update function. Oh no, it's not an interface. Type LED update function equals function of number, new number of LEDs, number, and that's fine, we don't need, or is it just like that? I think it is just like that. It's a function of, sort of type function, yeah, function of number and of LED arranger, and it returns array LED data. Yeah, that'll do. And why doesn't it like that? It's because I've forgotten how to do function signatures. Where did we do one? We definitely do one in here. Oh yeah, we don't need function around it. That's why. Like so. Oh. New number of LEDs, number, new LED arranger. And they don't mean to be new, it just needs to be number. Name is the hardest part. Cool. Yeah, right, so that's our type. And so now we just need to make this. Yes. Of type LED update function, and then we'll get our typing right. You're gonna have to let this, or const let up here. Let up here, I think. Let new LED array. What's this problem with that? There we go. That's better. Yep, likes it now. Now we're just going to make sure that this is correct. So it takes a number, this is looking better, and then action.newValue. And I'm going to refactor that because I already don't like that. Types property LED or LED update function is not assignable to type LED data. Well, that doesn't seem very useful. Property flat map is missing LED update function. That's not good. Anyway, we'll set that in a sec. It's probably also because our bloody we're partially cooked here. That's a new value. That's the state.led arranger. That's the wrong way around. Did I just do this the wrong way around again? Oh my god. Action dot. Why isn't it the IntelliSense complaining there? It definitely should be state.led arranger. Then here it's the other way around. Action dot. But you know what makes it confusing? Is because I decided to use new value as my action as the other parameter. That was a terrible idea. State dot number of LEDs. I think that's the correct way of doing it, but I'm gonna immediately refactor this. I mean, that's a horrible idea for that property. Action dot new. So in this case, this is the action is update number of LEDs. So the action should be new number of LEDs. Yes. Refactor. Cool. Oh my god. Oh, what? Hang on. No. Shouldn't have done that. Oh, because you don't know what the action is. Oh. So it has to be, it does actually have to be new value. Okay. Fine. We'll just deal with it. That's okay. Yep, cool with that. Okay. It does have to actually be new value because we don't know what the type of the action is going to be. I guess we could do a typecast. Yeah, I guess we could do a typecast. Yeah, okay, no, let's undo that. We're going to typecast here, right? So we're going to actually go action. How do we do typecasts in React? TypeScript. TypeScript, typecast. Okay, what's this? Both work the same way. As. Yeah, that's what I want. I like the as syntax. Action. So we have to do action as update number of LEDs. What does V mean and what does A mean? No idea. They're both coming from this constants thing. V and A means date as, let's call types dot. Oh no, let's not do that. Let's just see what IntelliSense wants to pull in. I think I want the A. Update number of LEDs cannot be converted to type of update number of LEDs. Did I import the wrong thing? No, I don't think so. Look, maybe this is folly. Let's just leave that as is. Cool. Alright, so sorry, this should actually be new value. I don't like it. Oh no, hang on. It doesn't have to be that way. Okay, instead of doing refactorings, let's just, right, update number of LEDs should be new number of LEDs. These actions can have different things. New LED arranger. They can have different keys. That's no problem. So here, this action is update number of LEDs. Yes, because it's a union type of that action update LED action is a union type of these. It doesn't like that. This has to be a new number of LEDs, and this has to be new LED arranger. Got it. Okay, so that works now. And then, does it fix any of our problems here? That's wrong. It's new number of LEDs. That's better. And then here, this is new LED arranger. Right, nice. Now that properly makes sense. What is it complaining about now? Type is not assignable to store state. Types of property LED array are incompatible. Gotcha. So we've declared this as an LED update function. Oh, no, that's wrong. We've declared that needs to be declared as a array of LED data. That's better. Problem solved, right? And then cannot find name new value. That would be action dot new LED arranger, and here it would be action dot new number of LEDs. Right? That's fine. Slowly fixing all the IntelliSense errors. This LED update function never gets used. It will get used. Do we want to... We're going to have to declare that somewhere. Import... we're going to have to import it from somewhere. But that's okay. Alright, man, what a fast this has been. Okay, we're going to have to write this function somewhere. Should it go in reducers? This is the reducer. Yeah, perhaps it should. Does this deserve to have domain knowledge? Maybe it does. Const LED update function of type LED update function. Equals, I'm going to take a number of LEDs, type number, and we're going to take an LED arranger, type LED arranger, a little arrow in there, and what we're going to do, what doesn't like that? Yeah, because it's not returning yet. Cool, we will return. So all we should have to do is we should have to go, our LED arranger takes a number of LEDs to lay out and returns a bunch of, returns an array of points. So we're going to do const LED positions equals LED arranger passing in the number of LEDs, and then const LED array is going to equal, or no, yeah, const LED array equals array new array of LED data. Cool. It's complaining about that. That's a capital E and a capital D. Do we need that? Reinitialization can be simplified. Oh yeah, that'll do. That will do. No, it doesn't seem to like that. How do we do it elsewhere? Man, really need to up my TypeScript skills. Oh yeah, we declare it as a type and initialize it to an empty array. That's the better way of doing it. LED array of LED data equals empty array. Then we do LED array dot push, and then we're just going to pinch this out of here. So effectively we're going to do what we did in here. Yeah, in fact, if anything, this is the exact same method. We're just going to change some of the names. going to return LED array, and I've just realized we're going to have to... Oh, so do we even... Is the holder width part of state, or is it like a prop? I think it's almost like a prop. And I think what we actually do is we actually remove that. So we're not doing any scaling based on the holder size anymore, and we're going to have to actually scale that later. Does that make sense? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go back into our app.tsx, and instead of this function here, when we have to update the LED arrangement, we're going to have to scale by the holder width and holder height. But that's okay, because we'll figure that out pretty quickly when all of our LEDs are clustered in the upper left-hand corner if we forget. Okay, so there's our reducer done, and that works, and it all, yep, IntelliSense seems happy. Switch doesn't like the fact that we don't have a default. Default, we just want to return state, right? So if for some reason you've passed an action that doesn't match any of these, we just return the current state and do nothing, which is probably as it should be. Cool bananas. So the final thing is we need to actually make this container, and we need to bind our actions to the container, right? We need to bind. The final step here is that we're going to create this container which will provide all this access to all this machinery downwards to the chain of components, right? And then we'll be calling these functions to actually enact these actions. And hopefully it'll all just work. And I think I can probably get that done in 45 minutes. I think maybe 45 minutes is even more than enough time. So, okay. Containers. We need callbacks, and then we bind those callbacks to buttons. Yep. And oh, this is a good opportunity to write tests. I don't know if we'll write tests today, just because I don't know how the testing stuff is set up. So I might need to have a... Yeah, look, that could be something for... I think I'll probably... My week next week is a little more free during the evening, so I think I might stream during the week. And hopefully that'll get me... yeah, that'll get me going. Cool. So... next thing we want to do is we want to... yeah, good old map state to props and match dispatch to props. That's what we want. Yeah, we need connect and we need dispatch. We need our store state. Import Sarah's actions. Yeah, that seems to work. And then we also have to create our store somewhere and inject it as a provider. That comes from React Redux. I think that's what context replaces. Instead of provider, we can just have a context. Yeah, okay. Cool. So the next thing we need to do is we need to wire things up, basically. Okay, where to start here? Bind callbacks to our buttons. No, we don't need to do that yet. Okay, so hang on. What are we actually gonna... Yeah, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be binding our update number of LEDs action, which takes this new number, and update LED layout. We're going to be binding those to... Where's our app? Binding them to the LED text box and the LED and the layout selector to these functions that are going on in here. Update number of LEDs and on layout selected, right? That should trigger those methods. That would make a lot of sense to me, right? Because on layout, yeah, and in fact, I think that actually works pretty naturally because you can see update layout arrangement takes an LED arranger, exact same type that this update LED layout wants to take, and update number of LEDs takes new number of LEDs, the same as update number of LEDs. So I think we can just pretty much drop those in. But we just need to, I gotta remember how to do this map state to prop stuff. Map state to props takes how do we actually wire that in? Map state to props. Oh, I'm gonna use connect. Connect. That's right. Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so we now actually want to have a container. Well, no, that's not really the right level to have it at. Do we want to do it here? We don't quite need that right now. I might have to, the fact that we're coming up against this problem where we've kind of got a method we don't really need to use seems like I've probably cooked this somehow and made it probably not as ideal as it could be. Probably not the nicest design. That's okay. What we'll do for the moment is I'm going to import I need to import my actions, right? Oh, no. Let's use this export default connect. Yeah, let's use that. Yeah, okay, we need these typings. Cool, we can do that. Yeah, we're gonna have to do this a few times. Yeah, no, I don't think we stuffed up too badly. Oops, what did that do? Just skip down. Oh, not that. We want to actually run that command. Yep, there we go. From /actions, because it's not at that path. It's actually just at actions. And here it's not a /, it's just a type/index. Cannot find module. Just need that from types. That's right there. Should be able to find actions. Should be able to find React. We can definitely find React Redux. Store state. Cannot find module types. Oh, why can't it find types? From. Well, I can tell you with certainty that it in fact can find types because IntelliSense knows about it. Can't find actions. Well, I'm pretty sure you can. Okay, that's fine. And so what we need is we're going to actually wrap these in calls to connect. Yes. So, we're going to do that a little bit further down here. Are we going to map our state to props? Oh. Yeah, that's okay. So now we don't really need the state in here. Yeah, look, this could be a big reshuffle, but that's alright. Not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Okay. I think I understand what we need to do. It's just what order are we going to do it in. Let's get our map state to props function going. Okay. First thing is I'm going to write a const map state to LED holder props equals and then we're going to use takes enthusiasm level and language name and maps it to expected name and an enthusiasm level, and we'll get the relevant data from the store, adjust if necessary for components props. Let's go ahead and write that. Yeah, it's been too long since I've done Redux. massages the data from the current store to part of the shape that our component needs. I don't understand why this returns a store state. Shouldn't it return props? Enthusiasm level. Oh. What? Why is it returning that store state? Oh, this is a... Oh god, I'm an idiot. It's not returning a type of store state. These values are a type of store state. It's destructuring them out of the store state. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So, out of here, all we want is we want the... we're going to set the holder width and the holder height. We want the LED size. And this .state.led array. Okay, we only need LEDs... we only need LED array out of our store state. And then we're just going to return LEDs is LED array. I think that'll do us. Is it not like this? Destructuring. Come on, I'm trying to destructure things. Don't ruin my day. Does that need to be declared as a function? Oh, this needs to be an arrow function. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Cool, so we've got our LED, we've got our map state to LED holder props. We've got our const, and that's all we need for that. Okay, for our LED text box, we need to go... That's fine, we can leave that initial number of LEDs. Update number of LEDs needs to map to a dispatch, and on layout select needs to match to a dispatch. Okay, cool, no worries. We're gonna go const map dispatch to LED text box props. And then, okay, now how does the type work here? It's going to be of type, or we're going to take one thing called dispatch. Of type, dispatch actions, okay. Dispatch actions dot update, oh no, did we correctly import actions? That doesn't look like it's coming in. So actions export, it does. We want to import update LED action. Yeah, that's the type. So dispatch action dispatch update LED action. Yeah, that's why we have that type in there. It's got to be a little arrow. And okay, the next thing we need to do is, yeah, so we need to map that to the props, right? And so here we just have to return, the only prop we need is update number of LEDs, update number of LEDs, and then that maps to dispatch actions. Oh, hang on, how do we pass through a value? Oh yeah, it's a lambda, sorry, yeah, because we're passing through a function, right? And that's going to take a number, new number of LEDs, which is a number, and then that maps into a, yeah, and then that calls dispatch, and then we dispatch update number of LEDs, I think that one, comma. Is that the right type? No, it's not. We want action dot. How is this working? Import start as actions from actions. No. Oh, did I create a nested folder or something? Oh, it's because I called it actions.csx. That's why. Okay, let's fix that. Import star as actions from there. Cool. And this is actions dot, and this is actions dot update LED layout. Is that the right action? Yeah. Actions dot update LED, update number of LEDs. Passing the number, new number of LEDs. Easy. And then we're also going to need a const map dispatch to layout selector props. Layout selector props equals dispatch our actions dot update number of LEDs. Oh no, just update LED actions. Update LED action. And then that will return. And what do we call the method? We called it on layout selected. Layout selected. We should probably standardize these names. New LED arranger of type LED arranger. And that's going to map to dispatch actions dot update LED layout with our new LED arranger. Sweet. Yeah, it's fine. Yep, cool. And another semicolon there. Great. And then we just need to wire these in. And I think we're done. I think that's pretty much it. I think we can actually remove these. So what we do now is we use this connect function to create wired up sort of versions of these. So our const connected LED holder is going to equal connect, and we're going to pass in, according to this, we pass in our map state to props, map dispatch to props, and then we call it on our component. So presumably we don't have to pass everything. Map state to LED holder props, comma null, and we're going to call it on LED holder. Does it like that? No, it doesn't. Stateless component, connected LED holder. Oh, that's bad. Provides no match for the signature props, LED, any, and null. And a children React node. Huh, what does that mean? Sky for the stove is still not here. How splendid. I might not get to explain that. You might have to tune in tomorrow to hear that fascinating story of how I've been screwed out of a stove for 3 months. Maybe that shouldn't be null. Maybe that should be empty object. Hey, that's better. Yeah, that's what we want, because it's assuming, or it's trying to yeah, it's trying to do something with a null value. Yeah, it doesn't like the null value there. Cool. And then we go const connected LED text box equals connect, and then empty, and then map dispatch to LED text box props, and we run that on our LED text box. And finally, we're going to go const connected connected layout selector, and that's going to be connect again empty object. Can we not pass an empty object there? I guess these functions could just return these static values, but I don't really like that. I'd rather just have, maybe this can be null. Yeah, it has no complaint about that. Oh no, yes it does. Yeah, again, I guess what's interesting is also this is not a function, so how is that going to work? We need to look up the function signature for connect. That would probably help. We can just Google Redux connect no map state. Yep, that's cool. Connect map state to props. Now, do we have to pass all of these things? If this argument is specified, the result must be a plain object which will be merged with the component's props. If you don't want to subscribe to store updates, pass null or undefined. Okay, cool. So we can pass in. We should be able to pass undefined here. We should be able to pass undefined there because we don't really want to update those things. But it's complaining because type LED text box provides no match for the signature, props, update number of LEDs. I don't know what that's complaining about. Argument of type of LED text box, not assignable to a parameter of type component type, update number of LEDs. Oh, is it because we have not passed undefined here as well? It really doesn't like that. Can we just pass null? Doesn't seem to like that either. It seemed to like you passing an empty object, which doesn't really make much sense. Can we go null props? That doesn't make sense. Oh, I tried to get you fancy there. Excuse me, I'll take a sip of water. It's rapidly approaching 12 and this dude is not here and I have shit to do today. Well. Okay, so what are we gonna do about this? It says that we don't have to pass this and we can just pass null. If you don't want to subscribe to store updates, pass null or undefined instead of map state to props. Yeah. Which seems very reasonable to me. Let's look this up in the context of TypeScript. TypeScript map state to props null. So how do they do it here? React Redux TypeScript guide. Well. That's what we want. Oh man, this is great. I need to use this a bit more. Reducers, state with type level immutability, typing reducer, testing, store configuration, create store, async flow, selectors. This is really cool. I need to read through that more fully. Let's just see if there's a null here. No, that's not what we're looking for. Not that either. Typing reducer. To use state string or null. No null keywords. This is frustrating. Frustrating that my IntelliSense is not liking the fact that I want to pass undefined here. It doesn't like that. I'm trying to pass, I suspect it's that. So This map state to LED holder props is supposed to return an object. I wonder if we can do a sneaky, like... return the empty object. It seems slightly no. Type of LED text was not assignable type stateless component. Is it because this is the wrong type of component? Stateless. Well, that shouldn't be mattering. That's the whole point of this whole thing. Oh no, it's actually not a stateless component anyway. It has state. Well, I think that's probably okay. Very frustrating. I'm always tempted to cut it there, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out of this without some significant floundering around. I'm also tempted to cut it there because of... Oh, just a sec, that's the knock at the door. Alright, we're back. Cool. So the guy did actually come. He apologized for being late, which is good of him. And he dropped off the stove, which is nice. And now I can tell the story of the stove, which is very boring. And I think that's actually how I'll end the stream, because I'm cutting a little fine here. I got stuff to do this afternoon, and I'm kind of stuck here. Sorry, this one wasn't super interesting, but look, we got to play with Redux a little bit. I hope you got to see a bit of what that's all about. That'll get a little bit more interesting, and I'll figure out whatever the hell is going on here, and why IntelliSense is not really liking my typings. But yeah, the story with the stove is just that I moved into this apartment 3 months ago, 3 months and 2 days, and within about 2 days, I like to cook quite a bit, and within about 2 days, I found that the stove did not work, in the sense that it turned on. And the thing is I've never used an electric stove before. I've always had a gas stove. So I turn the stove on and it goes onto full heat. And I'm like, oh man, that's boiling my water really quickly. Like, that's very strange. I put it on the lowest heat. And it turns out, I think I cooked once without realizing. I cooked once. I cooked a pasta, and I was like, it just happened to be something that didn't really require much fine temperature control. And so I sort of just... I think it was a quick dish as well. So by the time I'd finished cooking it, it was actually like it hadn't had a chance to get too hot. So cooked once, was like, oh yeah, seems to be working fine. Cooked the next day, tried to like simmer something, and it was absolutely impossible because the stove is just full heat or no heat. And complained to the landlord, well, not complained to the landlord, but like told the property manager, hey, this needs fixing, and it's now taken 3 months for it to happen. You know, they were getting quotes, then they said, hey, is the stove plugged into the wall or wired into the like mains, which makes it very doubtful that they're actually getting quotes. They basically just stuffed me around, like, we'll be here then to look at the stove, nobody came, we'll be here at this time to install this, and nothing happened. So finally, the stove is in my house, and it will be getting replaced on Monday, and I can do all sorts of things that I haven't been able to do, like simmer things. Haven't been able to make anything simmered, which is quite frustrating. So yeah, that's the stove story. I mean, it's not very interesting. Hey, Edish1991. Wait, who is that? If you know me, I mean, clearly you know who I am. But yeah, send me a message, text message or something like that. I'm very sorry. I'm just about to stop. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll have to get better at communicating. I didn't really put this out. Oh, buddy. Thank you so much for joining. I'm really sorry that I'm just about to stop. I'll have to, I'll have to, signpost when I'm actually going to be streaming a little more, a little better. It just totally slipped my mind. I was out tonight. Sorry, bud. Look, you can watch the video. You can watch the catch up. Love you too, man. And it's a very, very good friend of mine. You can watch the you can watch the video of the whole thing, but it's a lot of me floundering about with Redux. Yeah, I'll have to be more just a little bit better at actually putting on Facebook and Twitter and on this channel itself, because I know there's updates on this channel as to when I'm going to be streaming. So I will remember to do that this evening. I'm wondering if this is the best time, because I don't know how many people have been watching. Not a huge amount, but I was kind of hoping to capture that like US audience. But look, maybe evening Australia time is actually the best time. Anyway, we'll sort that out as we go along. What I'm going to do is I'm probably not going to commit this. I'm probably going to work on this at some point. Thankfully, we're not working on this tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, if you're just tuning in, there's going to be same time, same place tomorrow morning from 9 a.m. Eastern Australian Eastern Standard Time again. But we're going to be doing some really cool shit with some hardware, right? So I'm going in about 2 hours to buy an old HP server off a guy from Gumtree. I'm getting a really good price on it. It's got a Xeon processor in it. It's got 12 gig of RAM. If I can find the extra mezzanine board that it doesn't actually come with, but is compatible with it, then I can actually put another processor in there on a second socket and another like 9 slots of RAM. So I'm picking that up this afternoon, and what we're doing on the stream tomorrow is going to be really sick. It's basically going to sit... Thanks, buddy. If I need backup, I'll call you. I was saying at the beginning of the stream, hopefully I return. If I don't stream tomorrow morning, well, you'll know what's happened. Yeah, I'm going to be setting that up in my apartment. But what you're going to be seeing is infrastructure as code management of the operating system there. So I'm using a couple of pretty cool technologies. In fact, I might as well go in and show you them right now. I'm using something called Core OS. Yeah, you can see I've been searching for it. Matchbox, right? Matchbox. And what Matchbox does is network boot provisioner and for container Linux clusters, right? So the idea here is that the server turns on, you set it to boot from the Pixie boot device, and it searches out on the network and it sends out some DHCP requests to figure out what server is running this Pixie server that can provide you with images to boot from. And then based on a few different factors, it will provide different configuration to different machines depending on their MAC address. And you can use that to basically say, what I'm going to do, and you'll see me probably do this tomorrow, I might play around a bit and test it this afternoon just so tomorrow's not a complete crapshoot. And look, it could be, you never really know in the end. Could get stuck like I kind of did today. But the idea is that I'm going to write some Terraform configuration, which is going to say, okay, if you find a machine matching this MAC address, boot it up, install it as a Kubernetes master. So it's going to go through, it's going to install the operating system, it's going to configure it, it's going to configure Kubernetes, going to configure etcd, all those bits and pieces you need to run that containerization platform. And it's also going to, the bit that I'm actually adding that's making this slightly sort of on top of this existing platform of Matchbox and Ignition and the thing called Typhoon, which is I think what's providing the actual Kubernetes install. What I'm doing on top of that is I'm also going to add additional parameters that are going to let me format the hard drives, because this machine will be sort of like a combined server and NAS, right? So it's got a bunch of hard drive slots in it. I probably won't buy the hard drives today just because I don't really need them right now. But it's coming with two 250 gig hard drives. So one of those is going to be the like OS install disk, and then the other one is going to be configured through here. It's going to be configured as like BTRFS BetterFS, I guess that's what it's supposed to mean. BTRFS as sort of like a drive pool. And so what will happen in theory is that when I go and I get a new hard drive for it, I should just be able to plug in the hard drive, and it's sort of up. I guess it's up in the air as to whether I would just expand that BTRFS partition to expand onto the new hard drive, which is a feature that's supported by that, similar to like LVM for managing hardware, for managing disks underneath a sort of uniform OS. Because what I essentially want is I want the operating system with all the container stuff on one hard drive, and then just another big drive pool that we use as network attached storage that I can pull into the Kubernetes cluster from, for example, to serve via Plex. That is the ultimate goal. Plex will be running on the Kubernetes server, and it will pull from this like sort of NAS to get any data it needs, and read and write to it, right? And so for simplicity's sake, what might happen is when I get the new hard drives, like I'm going to buy a couple of 2 or 4 terabyte hard drives or something. When I get them, I could just expand the BTRFS partition on top of them. But what is possible in theory, what I'm trying to make it, is that I will be able to actually reprovision the entire server quite quickly in the space of, however long it takes to install things automatically, and I can just change one little configuration value in Terraform to say, okay, it now has it now has another device that lives at, let's say, like SDC, right? If the Linux drive naming SDA, SDB, SDC, it lives at SDC. Also format that, and then add it to this BTRFS pool, and it'll reprovision the entire server. That's the plan. And so the plan is that if the server explodes, I can get a new server and I can spin it up again. Infrastructure as code. It'll just come up with basically the exact same configuration. I just have to tweak the hard drive parameters. If I get a second server because I suddenly come into a lot of money and I need to start running a server farm in my home, I can configure that too with its own hard drive parameters, and it will come up as a Kubernetes. Well, the one that I'm getting at tomorrow or today will be the master. The other one would be a worker, and I can spin up other nodes in this cluster potentially running in VMs even, that will all take this configuration. And so if it explodes, or if I get a new PC or I change hardware, it should just be as simple as, and I'll run through tomorrow what settings I've sort of set up on my PC to enable this, but realistically fairly minimal if you've already got Docker installed. And the idea is that I could set that up pretty easily again and then bootstrap it back up to the exact state, because the whole impetus behind this is that I am so sick of having configuration that is just completely unmanaged and I don't know what it is, and I do something and it breaks. SkoufCloud in the future. Yeah, maybe Mr. Salesforce, maybe. We'll see, but like that's essentially what this sort of stuff enables. Infrastructure as a service, but on bare metal. That's the interesting part. If this were in AWS or Google Cloud or Azure or something, you'd just have your image that you'd bake in something like Packer, and then you just deploy it, right? And that would be fine. And I actually, to be honest, I didn't actually look into whether Packer probably can do those sorts of things for bare metal, but this seemed like a really nice turnkey solution because it adds the Kubernetes on top of it. But yeah, the idea is that everything should be very easy to wipe away and start again from scratch, and everything should be managed through all these new great infrastructure as code tools that I've learned, and things maybe even like Ansible. I want to get a little better at Ansible, so running Ansible playbooks on the server to update particular things or perform particular actions. I like the idea of that because the server that I ran when I was living at home, which is still there, my little home server, my first little home server, love it, was great, but I was so wary of updating anything because, as servers tend to do it, it kind of became a piece of critical infrastructure within the household. You know, if I buggered up the server, mum would be complaining, hey, why can't I get the movies? Like, why isn't blah, blah, blah working? Like, you know, where have these files gone? Because we would sometimes store files on there. But mostly it would be, where are all the movies and TV shows that you've got? Why can't I access them anymore? The server's down. And like, it would be frustrating for me, frustrating for everybody involved. This is going to be even more on top of that. Like, I'm going to run Plex. That's going to be running my whole sort of like home media center stuff. I'm planning on running a little home wiki. You know, it's how geeky am I going to get with it? Am I going to go, you know, you can always go full crazy level. Like, you enter the house, there's a custom Android or iOS application. You scan a QR code that gives you levels of clearance. You can then, you know, it gives you like role-based access control for my house. You can now control my lights. You can now, because I'm going to try and put smart lights in. You can now get access to the Wi-Fi password. You can now do this and that. How crazy am I going to go with that? Probably not that crazy, but you know, we can build up. And it'll give me the ability to put things in Kubernetes, like I can host stuff and I can try and, I'm thinking in theory, I can have sort of like a segregated network portion or particular containers that are actually internet accessible, so I can run services from the home network that can be reached from the worldwide internet. Yeah, expose it to friends. I can do all sorts of things. I can buy, I'm thinking of doing some dynamic DNS stuff. I'm going to get, I own SkoufCodes, but I'm thinking I'm going to get some sort of subdomains of maybe the home domain. Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm probably going to run maybe a DNS server on there, although I may do that on the router because my router runs DWRT. But yeah, all sorts of fun things you can do at home when you have access to a persistent bit of hardware that's always on, and especially when it's running a nice platform like Kubernetes where you can orchestrate things. I mean, I'm assuming I can pretty much do, if I get that up and running, I can probably do zero outage Plex deployments. So Plex push an update, right? I just update my Kubernetes config. Kubernetes, I'm not sure. I can update my config to say, okay, pull the next version of Plex, and it'll automatically like shut down the old container, start up the new one, and there'll be pretty much zero downtime. So yeah, all sorts of fun things. So moral of the story is that's what will be happening tomorrow. That's what you'll be getting if you tune in at the same time, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'll do a bit better job of putting the word out for tomorrow, just to tell people what's going on and what I'm going to be streaming, and because I think it's going to be really fun. I think it's something quite different. It's something people probably don't touch very much because these days it's just so easy to spin up a server in AWS. It's something that was certainly totally new to me. I'd heard of PXE, and I'm also writing a blog post about this, which will go into a bit of detail. But I've heard of PXE before, which is the way that these servers boot over the network. I've seen it. I think my high school was booting all its servers. I think it's pretty common in an enterprise environment. Awesome, man. I expected you to be out riding in the morning. Don't stress. Like I said, you can catch it up afterwards. The videos stay for, I think, 15 days or so. But yeah, if you could, man, would absolutely love to have you here. Really, really appreciate you tuning in. Seriously, so love you, buddy. So nice of you. So yeah, I think it's something that most people don't see because frankly, nobody really uses it anymore except for, you know, I was watching a video about it, which I might well link, which was saying these guys started investigating the stack using Matchbox and Ignition, which is the thing that does all the installation. It's kind of like a single, like when it starts up, it installs the OS and it provisions the hard drives and stuff like that. CoreOS, people are not doing that because it's so cheap to do it in AWS unless you get to big scale. And so the video I was watching was saying that they were trying these things in AWS, and the average spend, the yearly spend was going to be $100,000 in AWS spend, and then they decided to do it on bare metal, which is where it's still in the cloud, but they're really just giving you access to some servers pretty much over the internet, and then you have to do all the provisioning yourself, and you don't get any of the nice service layer things that AWS provides, and it was going to cost them 20K. So 20K versus 100K. It's a pretty huge saving, but you've got to be of a certain size in order to get those savings, which is why most people don't ever really do that. And it's also much more difficult to manage. So you've got to have a pretty specific use case in mind. So I think it's something a little out of the ordinary. I think it'll be a bit fun. Hopefully we can get it to work, and then in the future you're definitely going to be seeing more things from my server. I'm going to be running lots of things on there. The one last thing I'll mention is I'm rapidly getting even more and more ideas for what I'm going to stream on this channel. It is going to get much more exciting. There's going to be all sorts of cool stuff. I'm going to learn, you're going to learn. I'm going to redo my thesis finally. So for those of you who maybe don't know or don't know me, I did an honors degree in mathematics a few years ago, almost 6 years ago, I think. And obviously I didn't end up pursuing mathematics and I went into software, but I did my thesis, and the ironic part was that the software that I wrote to do the calculations was awful, and I think it was actually part of the reason why I didn't get as far as I could have in that thesis, because the software was such spaghetti that I couldn't really do what I wanted with it. I couldn't debug it properly, and I was bad at debugging. It was written in MATLAB. It was a whole big mess. So I think I'm actually going to finally, if you know me in person, I've been talking about this for years, I'm going to finally redo that code and revisit my thesis and try and come to some more conclusions. So thesis 2 Electric Boogaloo, maybe not quite as long, but definitely thesis revisited. So that's going to be super fun. I've got my website, which if you go to skoof.com, go on there, have a look. You'll see it's pretty janky. It's got some weird shit. I, for some reason, thought that having a flipping card interface would be fun. It is not. It's stupid. And it's built off of like this thing called Gridfolio, which is a great project, but is not meant for what I'm doing with it. And also, I just kind of don't like the layout anymore. So I'm going to switch that over to a thing. Let's have a look at it right now. Masonry from Pinterest. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. Masonry. Oh, hang on. Masonry library. Yeah. JavaScript grid layout library. This Masonry library. I think this is from Pinterest, guys, but maybe it's not. Maybe I got that mixed up. Maybe Pinterest used to use it, or maybe they don't. But yeah, I want to bring this in, so I'm going to use this Masonry library to redo my website to have this cascading tile thing. We're going to hit the Medium API to grab blog posts. We might hit Twitch. We might hit other APIs, Twitter, Facebook, who knows. We're going to GitHub probably. We're going to grab a bunch of stuff. So website redo, thesis redo, more infrastructure as code, more containerization, more JavaScript, more React, a little Go, a little Elixir, some TypeScript, GraphQL at some point, everything. We're going to do an incredible number of different things on this channel. I think it's going to be really fun. If you know anyone who's into coding, young people who are just getting into it, I would love more questions in the comments from people who like just starting out, don't really know what's going on. Hey, what did you just do there? Hey, how does this work? Hey, can you explain how that works? I think that would be a lot of fun. So anybody that you know who you think would be interested, link them up. Stream times, like I said, Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to midday. That's the plan. I'm going to be more proactive about getting comms out beforehand as to whether I will be streaming that particular Saturday and Sunday, because it's not always going to be possible. And then pretty much ad hoc the rest of the time, probably during the middle of the week in the evenings. And then Saturday and Sunday, it's kind of like whenever I can slot it in, but I'm going to try and stick to that 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. slot. And so with that, I think I'm going to call it there. I've got to get ready and go and pick up this server, which I'm very excited about. It's going to be really fun. I'll keep you guys posted, and I'll put up some posts about the stream tomorrow morning. Thanks, as always, for watching. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate getting up so early. I mean, it was early for me. Maybe it's not early for you guys, depending on where you're watching from. But yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and afternoon, and I'll see you really soon. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Fingers crossed. Thanks. Thank you. See ya.